Heavy rain and strong winds cause flooding concerns across the region right now. Water could reach levels not seen in years. Hello again, I'm Lynn Bowie, and welcome to all of you streaming this noon. Let's take a live look outside from Harbor Cam. This is the Inner Harbor. You can see the camera shaking and the water coming up over the promenade at the amphitheater. In Fells Point right now, people are loading up on sandbags to help keep the floodwaters at bay. Drivers are urged to move their vehicles from low-lying areas into parking garages. This is a live look at the docks in Annapolis. Look at that water, already several inches of water, and the tide is just about to roll in. We have live team coverage this noon. Marty Bass, Mike Halgren, and Avajoy Burnett all standing by, but we begin with meteorologist Tim Williams. Tim.
Well, Lynn, this is a storm we watched move across the southwest, and it really beat up all the states down from Texas right on over. Now it's moving up just west of our area, but the rotation of this system is bringing not only water up into the bay, but it's also creating winds that are coming in from the east. All of that is helping to push water onto the western shores of the bay and up through the mouth of the bay, not to mention the coastline along the Maryland and Delaware beaches. This is a system that's bringing heavy rain. You can look at the brighter colors. They've been moving across the region, and there's a rotation that means that we have waves of this. Not only are you seeing what's here now, we've seen waves of this early in the morning, and we're going to continue to see waves right on into tonight. There is a severe threat. The severe threat for us means the heavy rain that we're talking about. Isolated damaging winds, because those gusts are going to be high through the afternoon. And then the chance of an isolated tornado. Talked about that rotation. Well, these types of storms can spin tornadoes right on in through the area. The winds are going to be picking up through the afternoon. There's a wind advisory on both sides of the bay. High wind warning down at the mouth of the bay. The gusts are going to be the factor that we're really talking about. The gusts are going to be up as high as about 35 to 40 miles per hour, in some places higher through the afternoon. Marty, we are really talking about a 1-2 punch, maybe 1, 2, 3, and 4 punch before this is all said and done.
Yes, we certainly are. Thank you very much, Tim, and good afternoon, everyone. This is as severe weather as you're ever going to see or have seen since 2003. We'll explain that in a moment. Coastal flood warnings in effect for both sides of the bay. Aerial flood watch in effect inland. That's for falling rain. The coastal flood watch has to do with that brackish water, that salt water, moving up the bay. And it's just now getting to Annapolis, the high tide. The problems from Annapolis north are yet to come. Largest event since Isabel, 2 to 4 feet above standard high tide. And something to note, tides and wind bring water onshore and up drainage systems. A lot of times you'll see video from Coastal Highway in Ocean City. That's not the ocean. That's water coming up, in many cases, through the drainage system. So we've got big problems currently, and unfortunately more to come. We'll take a look at the trends through the afternoon, by the way, shortly. Let me throw it back to you, Lynn.
Thank you, Marty. Our team coverage continues. Mike Halgren standing by on Miller's Island in Baltimore County. But we begin with Avajoy Burnett in Annapolis, where that water has already risen quite a bit. Avajoy.
Oh my goodness, Lynn. Hello, good afternoon to everyone who's watching. You're absolutely right about that. I was speaking with my photographer, Eric Dolazar. He got here around 10 o'clock this morning, and he said this area where I'm standing, watch your back, Eric, there's a cone behind you. This area where I'm standing, there was no water here. But as you can see right now, the water is coming in, and high tide is right around this time. Officials told us that it happened around 11:55. The height was 4 feet 1 inch. And you 1 inch, and you see all of these businesses here, they're not open obviously because the water is just covering their front doors and the parking lot in front of them. All of this area is just underwater, as you can see. Many people were out here earlier today. We saw a few kayakers, so that gives you an idea that this is just it's something that a lot of people are coming out to gawk at and trying to get an idea of just how bad things are here. The mayor, we spoke with him a little while earlier, and he told us that the worst could be yet to come. This could go up a few more feet by 1 o'clock tonight, so they're watching all of this. We spoke with folks a little bit earlier today. Here's what they had to say about everything that's happening now with all of this water coming into the area.
Asked if I wanted to have a little kayak around town, so can't beat it. It's sad that it's happening though. There's a little bit of water going in some of these small businesses, but we're hoping that it doesn't go too much higher and we can hold it back here.
And it's funny because you talk to them, you can see the water lines in businesses every now and then, but they're used
Okay, so you see these gentlemen here picking up the kayak because they were out in the water earlier. This area usually has dozens of parking spaces, but it's all underwater now. And you know, when they had Hurricane Isabel almost 20 years ago, the highest that it reached was 7 feet. So it's not expected to get quite that high, but once again, this is going to be pretty significant for the folks here in this area, the businesses on the side of things, and then across the street there are other businesses who are a little bit concerned. They're watching because the water has been pushing in, and it's happened over the last few hours. Back to you guys.
Those kayakers, Avajoy, thank you. Our live team coverage continues in Baltimore County. Mike Halgren is live on Miller's Island, where high tide is just a few hours away. Mike.
Good afternoon, Lynn. We are not there yet. We've been out here in Baltimore County since 6 o'clock this morning. Went to Boley's Quarters, and then here in Miller's Island, we're seeing some street flooding here. I want to step out of the way so that you can see what it looks like. Again, don't go through those flooded streets. The water is rising right now. It hasn't, as far as we know, gotten into any homes, but people have been preparing. Strong wind is already pushing water from the Chesapeake Bay into neighborhoods in Baltimore County, as a powerful storm is battering many communities along the bay in Maryland. Mark O'Loughlin has lived on Miller's Island for more than a decade.
I have to move things out of the floor of the garage because the water gets into the garage. Anything that we think could be moved by wind is what we move, wind and water.
Floodwaters inundated this community in 2003 during Hurricane Isabel. This is what it looked like then. And the National Weather Service sent out the ominous warning that this storm could bring the worst coastal flooding since that time.
I would never expect to see something like Isabel here again in my lifetime, since, you know, they call those 50-year storms or 100-year storms. So it did scare me, but that would be a staggering thing to have happen.
Hurricane Isabel, high water mark.
90-year-old Roy Upton shows us the high water mark from Isabel. Despite the pummeling wind and rain today, he says he's not worried.
No! No, that was a miracle. It was a high wind. Everything happened at once, you know. It wasn't the hurricane that caused the damage, it was these other factors.
And those winds today were pretty gusty. We're feeling some gusts right now. I want to show you just how deep the water is. I'm standing in the middle of the street. We moved a little bit up. You can see not that high right now. Again, though, we're not at high tide yet. It is still rising. And we got some new numbers in from Maryland State Police. They're telling us they responded to more than 200 calls between 5 and 11 a.m. and 46 disabled vehicles and crashes. Reporting live in Miller's Island, Mike Halgren, WJZ.
Thank you, Mike. Now's a great time to download the WJZ weather app. You can scan that QR code on your screen to get the app. With the most experienced weather team in town, we will keep you updated on air, online, and streaming throughout the day.